What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Guys, we are back here in Sweden. We got 10 Swedish inventions. Change the world, you know. This is from I forget his name. I've done videos of his before. 3-star vagabond. I think that's how you say it. 3-star vagabond, something like that. But we're checking out these inventions. Gonna have my time in Sweden. I put my social media. Do got Discord in the comments. I'm thinking about staying in a hostel just to get that full kind of experience. Meeting new people, doing different things like that, just so I won't just be out there wandering. Maybe I'll find somebody that know what they're doing, know where to go and all that stuff like that. So but yeah, hit me up, Instagram, Snap, got the Discord comments or in the description. So but let's check out these 10 Swedish inventions.
Sweden is a surprising country. It's not just full of introverts and reindeer, it's also full of inventors. In this video, I'm gonna talk about 10 Swedish inventions that changed the world.
I'm definitely not gonna be driving, so I'm gonna be walking everywhere. That's why. 3-point seatbelt. Oh yeah.
1950s, seatbelts in cars were just simple over-the-lap straps, but
Wasn't
that
that
changed
Nils
in 1959.
Nils Bohlin.
Over-the-lap seatbelts were pretty terrible. People were often thrown forward despite the seatbelt, and they also caused injuries. Nils Bohlin, an engineer at Volvo, decided that wasn't good enough. So in 1959, he invented the 3-point seatbelt, the type of seatbelt we all use today.
Yeah.
This was an incredible step forward when it comes to driver and passenger safety.
I wonder who got some of these patents. I mean, I wonder is it still in the family or who? Because there's a couple of inventions I always wonder that really just changed the world and like people still use today from so long ago.
It was something Volvo
was
like, extremely...
It's like, what else are you going to put in a car other than the seatbelt, you know, for when it comes to that safety? It's going to be interesting to see how they just change and say, hey, we don't need a seatbelt anymore. This is what you need. It's going to be interesting to see that in the future.
And they proved it as well by making the 3-point seatbelt patent freely available to everyone in the entire world.
Oh, so
it's estimated that at least patent. 1 million lives around the world have been saved because of this patent.
Facts.
So the next time you strap on a seatbelt in a car, you can thank Volvo and Nils Bohlin.
Oh, wait a minute. That was him?
A seatbelt in a car, you can thank...
Oh, wow. I wonder if he's still alive.
Volvo and Nils Bohlin.
Oh, snap.
The history of refrigeration is long and complicated. People used ice boxes for hundreds of years to keep food cold.
What?
And
I
in the
didn't know this
1750s, the first artificial refrigerators were invented. In 1834, the first vapor compression refrigerator was invented, which functions a bit like air conditioners today. Then the first commercial ice makers were introduced in 1854, and the first home fridges came out in 1913, and so on. There were tons of evolutionary improvements to the fridge over time. But one important step came in 1922 when 2 students at the Royal Institute of Technology in Stockholm, Carl Munters and Balthasar von Platen, invented the Absorption refrigerator.
Wow.
It became a worldwide success and was commercialized in the company Electrolux. Then technology eventually moved on again, and Electrolux...
Dang, I don't feel this. I think this is the first time I heard this one. I don't remember. I've done a Swedish invention video before. This is more recent, so maybe this is new. I don't remember hearing about the refrigerator.
Was superseded by other companies. However, you can still see absorption refrigerators in campers and trailers today. At one point, this Swedish invention was in households all over the world, but these days you can mostly see it in trailer parks.
Oh, trailer. I mean, a refrigerator, right? The zipper.
People in Sweden are quick to bring up the fact that a Swedish inventor called Gideon Sundback invented the zipper. And he did, sort of. The zipper was actually invented
You
in
zipper on everything
1851,
now.
and an improved version using complicated hooks and loops was invented in 1893. But it wasn't until
1893.
Gideon and loops.
Let's see. Dang, I couldn't imagine. You know how your mind gotta be to really just think of this process right here. Of course, now seeing the zipper, I'm like, oh, zipper. You get the. But now, if I was thinking back then, I would not have thought of this. That's crazy. That's crazy, man. Like this whole process. Yeah, his mind was on that time.
Was invented in
To be
1893.
thinking of that.
But it wasn't until Gideon Sundback improved the designs and made them have a lot more teeth that they actually became practical. Zippers were first used in shoes and tobacco pouches because clothes already had buttons and laces, and people saw no need to replace them. But
on the
human
clothes and
laziness
changed
eventually
everything.
wins out, so soon zippers were added to clothes as well. These days, you can barely see any types of clothes that don't have zippers,
telling you.
and you can thank the
Everything has zipper now. I've seen shoes with zippers, clothes. Shoot, what else? I feel like I got probably bags. I feel like I probably got a couple of things in my office right now with zippers on it. Dang, zippers did change the game. Dang. Wow, I wouldn't have thought of that, man.
Swedish inventor
then.
Gideon Sundback for that.
That's pretty dope. That's pretty dope. The Celsius scale. Oh, yeah. I think I remember
Anders
seeing this
Celsius
as well.
was an astronomer born in 1701 in Uppsala, Sweden.
Dang.
And he's most famous for the Celsius temperature scale. In the beginning of the 1700s, there were around 30 different temperature scales used all over the world. Fahrenheit was one scientist to try to make a standard temperature scale, but that one turned out extremely weird, so no reasonable country in the entire world uses Fahrenheit anymore. Celsius wanted something that was based around the freezing point and the boiling point of water instead. He came up with a scale that was 0 when water is boiling and 100 when water is freezing. He presented the Celsius temperature scale in 1742, and people thought it was really convenient, with a minor modification.
convenient.
After Celsius died, people reversed the scale because it didn't really make sense to count backwards. So 0 became the freezing point and 100 became the boiling point instead. And that
I
did
never
the trick.
knew that.
Today, 95% of the world uses the Celsius temperature scale, except for those
course.
strange ones who still use Fahrenheit. Or Kelvin, I guess.
Of course, us, the U.S. I definitely got to learn. I've been working on my 24-hour clock at least, but I forgot. I got to go relearn some stuff. It's been a minute.
People
safety
speculate
match.
that the first matches were invented in China around the year 577 AD, but they didn't really become popular until the 1800s. Then you had things like ethereal matches and lucifers that were used to light things on fire. The problem is that all of those were quite dangerous and even deadly because of all the phosphorus that was used. That all changed in 1844 when the Swedish inventor
1844?
Gustav Erik Pasch invented the safety match. The safety match split the reactive ingredients so that some were on top of the match and some were on the striking surface. This prevented unintentional combustion and made the matches safe for everyone to use. Or at least safer. You can still do stupid things with matches, of
Facts.
course. There's no way to completely protect people from themselves.
Exactly. We're our own worst enemies for sure. The adjustables.
Johan Petter
Spanner?
Johansson was an inventor who was born in 1853 in
Adjustable
Sweden.
spanner.
He started his career as an apprentice at the Munktell Mechanical Workshop, and he was apparently quite appreciated there. After working at Munktell for 3 years, he expressed a desire to move to America, but Munktell offered him any position in the company if he remained. He chose to stay on with the job title of inventor. He invented several important tools, both for Munktell and for his own company that he started in 1886. But his most famous invention came in 1892 when he got the patent for an adjustable wrench or adjustable spanner. The
I didn't even know
adjustable
it was called
spanner
that. definitely use the wrench. I didn't know it was called a spanner. That's
became his most famous invention, and the design from 1892.
And this is like one of those tools you definitely need around the house. This is, everything pretty much a need, even till today. It's just crazy how long ago some of these, advanced, they're more advanced now, but just think what the first wrench looked like. The first seatbelts and all that stuff. They probably wouldn't be, they could, I was about to say they probably would not be as effective today as they probably were back then, because, just with the advances of technology and materials and stuff, but you just never know. But definitely a need, a wrench. They got the security things on it.
As you see in any hardware store
Who's stealing
today.
wrenches?
Johansson continued to invent things throughout his whole life, but nothing ever came close to the elegant simplicity of the adjustable spanner.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to...
You sometimes come across the statement that Sweden invented the GPS. That's of course complete rubbish, but a Swedish inventor did something quite useful with GPS technology. Håkan Lantz is one of Sweden's most well-known inventors. He's credited with making the predecessor to the computer mouse, for example. He also invented STDMA, self-organized time division multiple access. It's basically a self-organizing way for multiple entities to communicate with each other over a shared channel. And this in turn is something that is used in AIS, Automatic Identification System. AIS is used in ships all over the world. It's used to monitor the locations of ships and to avoid collisions. It's also used in cargo tracking and a lot more. There are currently more than 40,000 ships that use AIS, from military vessels to rescue boats to commercial cargo ships. And while it isn't as impressive as the GPS, it's still a notable Swedish invention.
That's pretty cool. It's a lot of... This is probably one I didn't know as well. I don't deal with too many boats or know too much about boats and stuff, so that would make sense. Oh, these treats look nice. Nice and yummy. Delicious. The candy cane. Do I remember that?
The story of the candy cane is complicated. What exactly is a candy cane? It's rumored that a choir master in Cologne, Germany gave his choir boys sugar canes in 1670 to keep them quiet during ceremonies. But are those candy canes? The candy canes we know today are mint flavored and not just sugar canes. Also, the old-style candy canes were often completely white. The striped red and white design didn't really become popular. And
I usually see people do these on like Facebook or something, or make the candy when they do all this stuff. They don't exactly make candy cane, but they make some other... I think this is pretty cool. This is like, I ain't gonna lie, these are like addicting videos.
Completely white.
Watching somebody make candy.
The red and white design didn't really become popular until the early 1900s. And that brings me to the dubious claim that a Swedish woman called Amalia Eriksson is the inventor of the mint-flavored red and white candy canes. There's a really popular candy in Sweden called polkagrisar, and those are mint-flavored red and white striped candies, often in the shape of canes. But to be honest, these types of candy canes are typically straight and not hooked. Either way, Amalia Eriksson invented this type of candy cane in 1859. So, at least in Sweden, she's recognized as the inventor of the candy cane. Or maybe I should say, the inventor of the polkagris.
Polkagris? The candy cane. But what do they call it? Because it's not a cane. It's not, it's not shaped like a cane, so what did they call it? Of course, the other word.
You've most likely heard of pacemakers.
The pacemaker,
and if your heart is beating just fine, then you've most likely heard about them either way. A pacemaker is essentially an artificial device that sends electric pulses to keep the heart beating. There have been many different types of pacemakers, some that required to be plugged into a socket and some that were wearable. But in 1958, the first pacemaker implant took place at Karolinska Institutet in Stockholm. Inventor Rune Elmqvist had designed a pacemaker that could be implanted into a patient, and surgeon Åke Senning performed the procedure. This was the first pacemaker implant in the world, and the patient, Arne Larsson, lived until the year 2001. Unfortunately,
Oh, nice.
it required him to have 26 different pacemakers throughout the years, because these
Oh.
first models didn't last very long. The first pacemaker
makes
lasted
sense.
3 hours, and it was changed to another one that lasted 2 days, and then they kept improving the design all the time. It
Wow.
might just have lasted 3 hours, but the very first pacemaker implant was still made in Sweden.
Man, I can't imagine having to live with a pacemaker like that, man. That's different. Wow. Oh, this looks
Now
nice.
Let's talk about a very impactful Swedish invention, something that really blew people away. Black powder and nitroglycerin are volatile substances that can be used to blow things up, but people wanted to have more safe explosives. And Swedish chemist Alfred
The
Nobel
dynamite.
gave the world exactly that in the year
Alfred
1866
Nobel.
in the form of dynamite. This was the foundation of modern mining and the age of engineering. It also led to military explosives, something that Alfred Nobel eventually came to regret. There's a story that
Oh, yeah, I
Alfred's
remember.
brother Ludwig died in 1888, but newspapers all over the world got it wrong and thought that Alfred Nobel had died. A French newspaper apparently published an obituary called The Merchant of Death is Dead, and that disturbed
Wow.
Alfred deeply. This eventually made him put aside 94% of his entire fortune to create the Nobel Prize, an annual prize for the people who have provided the greatest benefit to humankind. So dynamite was definitely a Swedish invention that changed the world in many ways.
For sure.
And that's about it. That was my list of 10 of the most interesting Swedish inventions. I hope you
got the
found it
American food.
interesting. Like and subscribe, but most importantly, have a great day.
Nah, that was good. That was good. Definitely enjoyed that. Man, I know there's a few that I was familiar with, but there were some that I didn't know. Like 2 of them that was new to me. So, always find it interesting. Just knowing where things really come from. You know, here in the States, you would think everything just came from China. Because most of the stuff we got, I don't think, I'm trying to find something on my desk. Most of the stuff I got, it will say made in China. So, let's see, I have an adapter here. This don't even say it. Oh, yep, made in China. It's very tiny. But we would just think everything made in China, and so we would think the seatbelt, the pacemaker, all these things are made in China just because we receive all these things from China. But in reality, it pays to learn. Pays to learn and know the truth for sure. But other than that, I enjoyed this. Like I said earlier, if you have some more advice for me, hit me up. So getting ready, planning my trip. Almost done. I got my plane ticket, working on my train ticket, hotel, then boom, I'll eat when I get there, of course. But other than that, that's all I have. Hit that subscribe button. Hey, send me some more recommendations. But y'all be blessed, be the best, and be you. I'm out.